Hello there guys, Billybo10K here, bringing you another BBTT Billy Bates Twitter Theory video. If you didn't see the last one, we covered a Porky Minch thread yesterday, a link will be in the top right corner, but today I'm going to be covering one of the best designed threads that I've seen so far in the BBTT hashtag, because you can all make a thread. But the people who go above and beyond to make the thread as presentable and digestible as possible, those are the special ones that catch my eye. And you know what else catches my eye? Episode 14 of Minecraft Ant Farm Survival. What a plug, Billy. Damn, you're good. We're almost at the end of the series. It ends on the 19th, and I've only received positive feedback from this Return to Form series. We will be entering the Nether Ant Farm in episode 15, so now is the perfect time to jump in. If you're interested in watching, links in the top right corner. Alright, shameless plugs out of the way. Today's thread comes from a Twitter user, Calamitous, at Calamitous4, who is bringing up the character of Elma, a Xenoblade Chronicles X cast member who was rated way back in Season 1, Episode 1 of Rate Their Chances. So let's get stuck in. Alright, I made this Smashthoughts, but I guess I might as well upload it here. A compilation of reasons why Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X has a good chance of being DLC for Smash Ultimate. Here's the introduction. From this point on, I'll be using the included pictures as opposed to the tweets to share this information, so let's dive right in. The case for Elma in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Introduction. This is a compilation of arguments and hints that point towards the inclusion of Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X as a DLC fighter for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, as well as a response to a few arguments against her. Of course, since Elma is already a spirit in Ultimate, this thread is going to follow the base assumption that spirits do not automatically deconfirm characters. Nonetheless, the exact circumstances surrounding her spirit will be addressed later on, as there are a few things about it that are worth being discussed. Alright, I'm pretty excited just from this. This user is actually going to make an argument pertaining to Elma's spirit status, and if it's convincing, it could convince a lot of us that spirits don't exactly mean death when it comes to DLC. Either way, this introduction is promising, and I am definitely ready to read more. Part 1. Why Elma instead of Rex? Beyond the obvious deconfirmation via Mii costume, which Sakurai specifically presented as an apology for Rex not making it into Smash, mind you, there is little chance of Rex having any major role in any future Xenoblade game that is not a spin-off. Due to 2's story-driven approach, Rex's story is finished, with a sequel being highly unlikely. Elma making any further appearances in Xenoblade games is, meanwhile, very likely. With Xenoblade Chronicles X ending in a cliffhanger, and with many of its plot threads unresolved, the chance of Elma reappearing in a direct sequel to X is extremely high. Beyond that, Xenoblade Chronicles X remains one of, if not, the biggest Wii U games that is yet to be ported to the Switch. Beyond that, she'd represent a different style of Xenoblade, with the main style already being represented by Shulk. Yeah, Elma makes a lot more sense than Rex as the next Xenoblade character if they're going for a more unique and different take on series representatives. Xenoblade Chronicles X is a very different game, both in tone and in gameplay, to Xenoblade 1 and 2, and the fact that X ended on a cliffhanger, implying Elma's story is not yet complete, really emphasizes why she'd be a better overall pick than Rex, whose story has ended. By potentially showing up in future Xenoblade titles, Elma essentially becomes a brilliant marketing pick, and would be more relevant moving forwards in the franchise. If Xenoblade Chronicles X gets the port to Switch, this would further help Elma's potential chances as a DLC fighter. Part 2. Isn't X the black sheep? Isn't an X port deconfirmed? The negative reception to X has been very exaggerated by detractors. On Metacritic, X has a score of 84 compared to 2's score of 83, and the original's score of 92. In terms of sales, X has 0.84 million, as opposed to the 0.92 million of the Wii release of the original. While this admittedly doesn't say anything about fandom reception, Smash has been known to not care too much about that. Takahashi's statement regarding a port of X, meanwhile, has been largely misinterpreted. All he ever actually said was that a port of X would be difficult and expensive to make. Standard PR talk that neither outright confirms or denies whether or not something is in the works. I like that this thread specifically goes over the facts and has done its research to counter some of these points. X wasn't the most received by the fandom, but as mentioned, critics' scores are overall higher than Xenoblade Chronicles 2 by 1 point. And it also helps that the game came out on the Wii U. Because of this, the lower sales figures can be more forgiven, since nobody bought a Wii U, and thus the game couldn't reach a large audience from the start. If re-released on Switch, it could be well worth the effort, and as this thread explains, a port isn't disconfirmed. It's a neutral zone where it hasn't been confirmed or disconfirmed. That being said, I think a port of X would boost ELMA'S chances a lot more than if it didn't get ported. A lack of port will eventually hurt the character. Part 3. The X spirits in Ultimate. While there are 5 spirits from X in Ultimate, being Elma, Lin, Lao, Tatsu, and Eskel, they all share a significant distinction from other Xenoblade series spirits. Not a single one of them appears in World of Light. Both spirits from the original and 2 are worked into the mode, with Mithra in particular being the final light spirit protecting Palutena in the final map. On the other hand, the biggest role that a spirit from X has is Elma being a reward for unlocking 50 characters in World of Light, which is a role that could have been filled by anyone. This, along with the next point, makes it at the very least possible that any X content in Ultimate was a last-minute addition as to not make the DLC choice too obvious. Before we get to the next picture though, let's talk about this picture first. What an interesting theory to bring up. The fact that no X spirits had focus in World of Light. World of Light was the mode to showcase exciting and unique spirits. There's a reason why all the third-party spirits got showcased in that mode, and I think appearing in World of Light, especially at important world points, can be considered a bit of a death sentence. With no X spirits in World of Light, could it mean they were last minute? Well, the next picture in the thread explains exactly that. Part 4. General X content in Ultimate. Beyond the 5 spirits, X content in Ultimate is literally non-existent. Not a single song from the game makes an appearance, not even the extremely popular Tyrant battle theme Uncontrollable. This is despite games with less acclaimed soundtracks such as Metroid Other M having received multiple tracks. As the Fighters Pack has been confirmed to include multiple music tracks, it is completely possible that ELMA'S as DLC fighter would rectify this. Beyond that, it is also noteworthy that Ultimate's internal listing of games it draws from does not include X, despite otherwise being meticulous about being accurate in that regard, and you guys can see it for yourself by putting that link into your internet browser. Or you can check the description, because I'll put the link down below because I took a look at it myself. Xenoblade Chronicles X content is barely mentioned in Ultimate, and given the Xenoblade franchise only has 3 games to draw from when it comes to making content, I actually find this very surprising. And with no music tracks, even Golden Sun has more content than Xenoblade Chronicles X, both in terms of music and spirits, and that is even a franchise with a playable fighter. Yet Xenoblade Chronicles X gets shafted? A Fighters Pack DLC would rectify this and make complete sense. Elma is wanted by members of the community, and looking at the Pastebin link, it is genuinely odd that Xenoblade X was not included in this list when it does have spirits in-game, despite, I think, every other game that had spirits to draw from being listed in this list. This pretty much cements the idea that X content came very late in development, and either was tacked on as an afterthought, or could be a way of saying Elma for DLC. Part 5. Caitlin Glass's NDA role. In November 2018, Caitlin Glass, Elma's voice actress, tweeted about auditioning for a role where one of the references she was given was a character that she had previously voiced. She did receive the role, clarified however that she was under NDA, and could not reveal who it was. As of this writing, April 7th, 2019, this role has yet to be revealed. Considering the amount of time it takes to create DLC fighters, as well as the Fighters Pass lineup being finalized around this time, there's a good chance that the role was for Elma. Assuming that it is for Elma, the only thing in question would be for Smash, as a hypothetical X2 would be far too early in its development to consider an English dub. Now, this is where speculation can go a bit awry, as voice actors and actresses have large and extensive catalogues of voice roles that they can voice for, and it is dangerous to assume that this role could be for Elma when there are tons of other potential voices and roles to choose from, not only in video games, but also in anime and cartoons as well. Also, the character she voiced was a reference, not necessarily the character she was auditioning for, but a character similar to said original voice. If it does turn out to be Elma though, this thread's gigabrain. Part 6. Hiroyuki Sawono's Secret Project. Back in March of 2018, Hiroyuki Sawono, the composer behind the soundtracks for many famous anime like Attack on Titan and Gundam, revealed that he did a one-day recording session for a secret project. This is around the same time that Yoko Shimomura recorded her songs for Ultimate, which she also presented as a secret project. This is relevant because Sawono also composed the soundtrack of Xenoblade Chronicles X, and while this admittedly would have been a point more in favor of Elma being included in the base game, it is nonetheless worth mentioning that this project, much like Caitlin Glass's NDA role, has yet to be revealed. And now the composer for X has a secret project as well that could potentially involve Xenoblade X in Smash? The timing of these recordings fits perfectly in with the timeline for Smash, and really bolsters the potential argument for Elma in Smash, assuming this is what the project is for. That being said, Sawono is a composer by trade, and the project could easily just be something completely different, so I wouldn't make this the definitive argumentative point. Part 7. Elma in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. At Gamescom 2018, during a Nintendo livestream showcasing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC Torn of the Golden Country, Elma was announced as DLC Blade for the main game. What makes her announcement particularly interesting is that she was revealed with her own trailer, something which none of the other crossover characters in the game, those being Cosmos, Tielos, Shulk, and Fiora, received, even though all of them are arguably more well-known and hype-worthy than Elma is as of right now. Cosmos and Telos were just revealed without much fanfare, while Shulk and Fiora were directly revealed with gameplay of 2's then new Challenge Mode. This makes Elma's reveal the odd one out. So Elma got her own reveal trailer for the Xenoblade 2 DLC? I didn't even know that, but when she gets her own trailer, yet Shulk and Fiora, who are arguably the most well-known Xenoblade characters, don't, yeah, that's suspicious any way you look at it. I cannot counter this point. It makes valid sense. Elma is the odd one out here. Part 8. Elma in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, continued. With regards to Elma's actual appearance in 2, there's also a number of points worth mentioning. Unlike any of the previously mentioned crossover characters, she gets 2 unique boss fights using music from X and a series of chats with the party of 2, plus Shulk and Cosmos, that flesh out her character arguably more than any other crossover Blade. Last but not least, upon her recruitment, an everyone is here moment for Xenoblade happens, with a shot of all 3 protagonists. During this scene, the Noppon Archsage who's responsible for the crossover says that it is a dream of everyone to see Shulk and Elma together, ignoring Rex and Fiora, who are also present. This holds true even for the original Japanese version, making it clearly intentional. Alright, here I would argue this is a weaker point on this thread, if only because the everyone is here reference clearly is just a fourth wall break by the Noppon Archsage, which arguably makes more sense than it being a Smash reference given the comedic take most Noppon have in the Xenoblade universe. But knowing she gets 2 unique boss fights and her own music from her game, certainly a nice way to treat a character who wasn't even playable in X. And lastly, Part 9, Elma in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, The Aftermath. Many aspects of Elma's appearance in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 seems to be done with the aim of familiarizing players with her and setting something up, especially in the 5 party chats she gets. The question, however, is, for what? A recent interview with Tetsuya Takahashi, director of the Xenoblade series, implied that a port of X to the Switch is currently not in the works, and while the concept of a sequel to X has been mentioned as something that's likely to happen in the future, a recent job opening at Monolith Soft's website makes it rather clear that any future Xenoblade title is still very early in development. I assume they're focusing on the Zelda employment thing that came up on their website, yeah. Given the lengthy development time of these games, we will not see anything of this game for another 3 years or so. The only possibility this leaves would be hints at Smash. Or nothing, but let's go with Smash. Familiarizing players with Elma certainly makes the most sense based on the content she gets into, and I have to agree. I don't see another Xenoblade game coming for years yet, given how long they take to develop. Maybe X2 is being developed, maybe Elma's being set up for Smash, or maybe they just want to let players know who this character is so they'll use her more in 2 as a blade. It really could mean anything. That being said, this thread is mighty convincing. I went into this believing no first parties really had a shot. I'm leaving this with Elma in contention. That's how convincing I feel this thread is. That being said, a lot of the points made really rely on X getting a port to fuel the relevancy argument for Xenoblade X, and given the game doesn't show up in the listings for games used in Ultimate, that could also mean the exact opposite, and that X won't be showing up at all because it was so rushed at the end to fill up spirit spots. Whatever the case, I'd like to hear your guys' opinions. Do you see Elma as likely? Did this thread change your mind on her character? Will we get any first-party fighters? Leave your thoughts down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the thread creators' Twitter down below. Give them a follow. Give them some support. They were awesome. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to stay tuned for more. I post videos every single day. I also have a Discord down below if you're interested in that. Little community going on. Got a few things coming out this month that might be interesting to some of you. So that's going to be fun. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching and goodbye, guys.